Hello, Amos Tarfa here, just going through our teacher training program for Lifestem Academy teachers and anyone who wants to grow in their teaching ability. I'm going to be using two dimensions to this, so actually let's make it three dimensions. The first dimension has to do with understanding the laws of teaching using John Milton Gregory's book, The 7 Laws of Teaching. So we're going to use that as one of our main texts. This course can also be for students who want to be tutors. So maybe you're a college student and you want to improve your tutoring ability, this course will be helpful to you. Or if you're a teacher and you want to fine-tune your craft, this is for you as well. So we have the 7 laws of teaching. We have the first days of school, which is a great resource for just looking at some of the classroom management pieces and just how to be an effective teacher. And then lastly, we have a book called Peak by Anders Ericsson, which talks about deliberate practice. And this is especially important for those who want to be math instructors. We need to teach students how to be good, people that practice properly, like teach them how to use good practice strategies. So, welcome again to lesson 1. I'm wearing my Cambridge sweatshirt. We got a chance to visit Cambridge University in May, and it was a blessing to just be in England, see Oxford and Cambridge and Edinburgh. We went to Edinburgh, Scotland because of James Clerk Maxwell and getting to see some of his house, which is now like a museum basically. But my name is Amos Tarfa. As I said earlier, I have taught now in different capacities for over 10 years, and I love helping students understand the material they're learning and flourish in the material, but I also love giving them direction for life, where they're headed. So one of the first things I'll mention is for teachers, we always need to keep the destination in mind, a general direction. We might not know the specific for that student, but we need to encourage the student to explore a destination. That is a good skill. So The 7 Laws of Teaching is the first book that I'm going to focus my time on. And this is written by John Milton Gregory. It has a foreword which goes over some of his story of who he was and what he did. This book was first published in 1886, which is interesting because it was right around that time we start getting more of this factory-style education model coming in the 1890s and so on. We need to recognize that every child is unique, and we need to use our tools to help that child to accomplish their potential, to get to their potential. So we should be very careful not to just make every child follow the same procedures for every class, but we need to ask, should you maybe take multiple science classes, multiple math classes, since you want to become an astrophysicist? It makes sense. Why don't you do that, right? So help children to become and grow, help them to grow in the gifts they have rather than just treating everyone as a assembly line product. So John Milton Gregory gives us some of the tools to be very good teachers, and I'm hoping that we can use these tools to inspire our students to be the best they can be. He was obviously named by parents familiar with and favorable toward the famous poet. So John Milton Gregory was obviously named by parents familiar with the favorable, famous poet. Their son greatly emulated their love of letters in his lifetime. He was born in Sand Lake, Rensselaer County, New York, on July 6, 1822. As with most students of the time, he was educated in locally begun and controlled schools, but he also excelled in his studies and became a school teacher himself at a ripe age of 17. In 1841, he began a pursuit of the law profession by attending the Union College in New York, a Union College in New York. He practiced law for 2 years. He grew disenchanted with it. Being a Christian, perhaps Gregory wanted to do more active Christian service. In any case, he became a Baptist clergyman somewhere in the East. Once again, however, this was not a perfect fit. His ability to teach young people won out, and by 1852, he found himself appointed to the superintendency of a classical school in Detroit, Michigan. So, Dr. Gregory's skills in teaching as well as administration were noticed by many of his peers, and he also advocated for their interests. He wrote for and was otherwise involved with the State Teachers Association, as well as being a founding writer of the Michigan Journal of Education in 1854. This gained him further recognition, and in 1858, he was recognized to be or elected to be the state superintendent of public instruction in Michigan. So this is part of his background, and there's more information that comes there. The 7 Laws of Teaching, though, let's dive in here. So Dr. Gregory, a gifted Christian man and teacher, left behind this wonderful text that would serve to benefit many teachers, and that's part of what we're using with our teachers today. The Association of Classical Christian Schools use this as a wonderful resource in training or for their teachers to review. So let's go ahead and look at what some of these laws are, and then we will go from there. This foreword was written by Tom Garfield, who is the superintendent of Logos School. Okay, introduction. Let us, like the master, place a little child in our midst. Let us carefully observe this child, that we may learn from it what education is. For education in its broadest meaning embraces all the steps and processes by which an infant is gradually transformed into a full-grown and intelligent man. Education in its broadest meaning embraces all the steps and processes by which an infant is gradually transformed into a full-grown and intelligent man. Let us take account of the child as it is. It has a complete human body with eyes, hands, and feet, all the organs of sense, of action, and locomotion, and yet it lies helpless in its cradle. It laughs and cries, and it feels and seems to perceive, remember, and will. It has all the faculties of the human being, but is without power to use them, save in a merely animal way. Very interesting way to get us going into the topic. He goes on and gives very detailed information on this, and I'm not going to read the whole book to you. You can find audio readings of this online if you want. But I want to just focus on what are the 7 laws of teaching. Let's take 7 weeks, one lesson, one law at a time, and let's learn the 7 laws of teaching. And then I'm actually going to skip ahead to one of the laws and just read you a section that really, I think, stands out to me. So the first law of teaching is the laws of teaching. Teaching has its natural laws as fixed as the laws of circling planets or of growing organisms. He's saying that teaching has laws, just like we talk about the laws of physics and so on. Teaching is a process in which definite forces are employed to produce definite effects, and these effects follow their causes as regularly and certainly as the day follows the sun. What the teacher does, he does through natural agencies working out their natural effects. Causation is as certain, if not always as clear, in the movements of mind as in the motions of matter. The mind has its laws of thought, feeling, and volition, and these laws are none the less fixed that they are spiritual rather than material. The mind has its laws of thought, feeling, and volition, and these laws are none the less fixed that they are spiritual rather than material. To discover the laws of any process, whether mental or material, makes it possible to bring the process under the control of him who knows the law and can command the conditions. When you take the first days of school and you talk about classroom management, you take the 7 laws of teaching and you're able to look at how can I use the faculties I have and the tools I have to inspire students to care. Now we're talking. That's what we want to do. We want to have classrooms of pleasant experience. And this is a word of caution for students, of course. I know they're not necessarily watching this course, but students need to recognize that they have to be considerate of their classmates and allow the classroom to be a pleasant place for learning. I highly recommend that schools have an assistant in classrooms, especially in middle school, where some of the kids are just wondering, why am I here? What's the point of all of this? And that assistant can maybe help take students out of the classroom and help them learn the importance of learning to listen to a teacher, being respectful, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying children should sit at a desk for 10 hours on end, but I am saying that there needs to be an element of respect that the student has for the teacher. So teachers, we need to expect our students to respect us. We need to play our role in teaching well, but respect needs to be a part of the equation. Because students can know all the facts, but if they don't have respect for their teachers, that's a problem. I want to fast forward to a section of the book that I think is very dear to my heart because he talks about apathy. And I want to just talk about this as one of our lessons. The law of the learner, there's a section. So, we're going to go through the book. We're going to have different strategies that we will be sharing with teachers throughout the year. But let's talk about the hindrances to attention. The 2 chief hindrances to attention are apathy and distraction. The former may arise from constitutional inertness, from lack of taste for the subject under consideration, or from weariness or other unfavorable bodily condition of the hour. Distraction is the division of the attention between several objects. It is the common fault of undisciplined minds, and it is the foe of all sound learning. The quick senses of children are caught so easily by a great variety of objects, and they find in each so little to interest them, that their thoughts fleet as with the tireless wing of a butterfly. Memory holds with loose grasp the lessons learned with apathy or distraction, and the reason refuses such poor materials for its work. If the apathy or distraction come from fatigue or illness, the wise teacher will not attempt to force the lesson. That is so important. If there's apathy or distraction that comes from fatigue or illness, the wise teacher will not attempt to force the lesson. Isn't that interesting? That there are times where it's not ideal to teach the material that might be in front of you if the person you're trying to teach is tired and there's fatigue or they're sick, right? Better to let it go for the time and share and lift up the student by a kindly sympathy, diverting and getting them, giving them some unexpected talk or story or leaving them to rest in quiet. That's okay to do. So, it is important that we help our students to get good rest. This leads me to talk about the technology declaration document that Lifestem Academy has. It is so important for families to make sure that their students are going to bed on time. Students need to go to bed on time and rest well so they can wake up the next day and go to school and give their best. We highly discourage that students have phones in their rooms. Having a phone with unlimited data in their rooms, especially at night, but generally speaking, honestly, they don't need to be taking smartphones everywhere they go. Students need to build their social skills, interacting with other people. They need to spend time talking to people, building skills, using their talents and abilities, serving their communities. And so at Lifestem Academy and the schools that we start, we don't want people to have smartphones during the day. We don't want to see their smartphones. We want them to focus on being with other people. We don't want to see their smartwatches. We want them to focus on being with other people. These are some things that we need to implement in order not to have tired students, right? We can at least eliminate that problem. I will be going over more rules and laws of teaching. I think that John Milton Gregory's book is just a wonderful resource. So teachers, thank you for joining me on this journey. We have a lot more to cover as we study together, but I just wanted to try and bring some of the lessons to light and then explain how we can implement them in our classrooms. Students should respect their teachers. Students, we need to do our best to address apathy. And if it's coming from a place of fatigue or illness, of course, we might have to take a break from teaching. But if it's coming from a place of disinterest and distractions, we need to train our students to have disciplined minds. So time management is very important. We need to integrate that in our teaching in helping students to learn how to manage their time well. I hope this has been helpful to you as a teacher or to anyone who's watching. Please feel free to subscribe and share with others. We will keep going through the 7 laws of teaching in our future videos in this series. Take care and have a blessed day.